Why, hello, everybody. This is Eric Vierthaler of Sit Down by the Fire. I'm here with my next special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Carissa Pierson. I'm with Death Stalker Productions, and I'm currently working on a project, A Soldier's Descent.
Awesome. I certainly really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, certainly. And so you mentioned, you mentioned having a new project. And so how about that you tell my audience about this new project of yours?
So my new project is called A Soldier's Descent. It's Phil Herman's Soldier's Descent. And it's about a veteran that was a prisoner of war, was gone for about a year. And upon his return to the community and back to the United States, and his service was done, he was a decorated member of the service as well. And upon return, he's trying to adjust back into civilian life. And with that adjustment back in, he ends up losing his best friend that tethers him to society and to getting back into the swings of living day to day. And with that, turns him into spiraling into revenge and getting revenge for losing his best friend.
Oh, wow. And so then in that case, it definitely sounds like it's definitely going to be pretty emotional then.
Yeah, it's going to be, we're conquering some challenging themes of PTSD.
Yeah.
Challenging themes of domestic violence, suicide. And so with that said, we're being conscious movie makers and making sure that, at the beginning, we're going to have a warning aspect to let people know what is in this. Because it's not just, those themes. We're going to be doing some entertaining aspect to it. But I want people to know what these themes are going to be there. And there's going to be triggers. So people that have been out and serving our country and have been into those wartime situations, or even in just basic day-to-day operations for our U.S. soldiers, there could be some triggering moments. So we will be having some of those scenes of just where you're seeing Barney have some traumatic events, getting roughed up by the enemy, as well as seeing him lose his best buddy, not just his civilian buddy. So there's a lot of trigger aspects there.
Oh yeah, definitely so. And I mean, 13 Reasons Why also did the exact same thing. Like, that also was a show like that tackled on pretty big topics, such as the same topics that you tackled on like for this project. And I mean, ultimately, if someone is going to watch it and if they're going to get upset about it, it's like, well, we did tell you in advance. So.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of research, and my team has also, with our veterans, and they're behind us. They're even supporting our movie. We have a veteran who's come on as a producer. So we're doing our due diligence to make sure that we are showcasing this in the right way. Because what I have found through my research is people don't want to watch a documentary. Not everybody. Now, there are folks that do. But right. Documentaries, they don't have the impact that entertainment does. And I feel that giving this an entertainment aspect, it is a fictional horror. And it is going to be very entertaining. And we have worked very hard, Guthrie Lowe, Phil Herman and I, in getting the script ready for filming and building our characters. For example, Alice is a character, and she runs the gas station, and she's very, you realize as you watch her and you're drawn in as an audience, you'll see that she's holding secrets as well. And her secrets are just as deep and just as impactful, and she is just as loyal to her family. And those secrets kind of entwine in that. So you see a lot of evolving characters through this film.
Yeah. And I mean, although that there certainly is a market for people like who are interested in documentary films. I mean, of course, there isn't anything wrong with that, but I
No,
mean,
there isn't.
right. But at the same time, you definitely do make a very good point, like about how it seems to us, and I am pretty sure that, and I'm pretty sure like that there are studies to help back this up, is that it seems that there's a lot more people interested, while like in watching actual movies, and so, I mean, just imagine like just how many just imagine like how many Titanic documentaries that there have been out there. While yes, there probably are people who have seen those documentaries, but if you were to ask most people out in the public, a lot more of them are going to tell you like that they're going to be more familiar with the iconic film rather than any of those documentaries.
Yeah, and you make a valid point because even we read about it in the history books, the Titanic and the sinking, and it didn't. If you notice, people that go to the exhibits for Titanic, they're going because they've watched that movie, and
Yep.
whether they've watched it now, it's a gem. They're still watching it, and with that said, the unsinkable Molly Brown, they love that character, and I feel that the filmmaker for that did a wonderful job bringing the characters to life. And that's what we're trying to do with The Soldier's Descent. We have really worked on the Barney character, which is played by my husband, Andrew Pierson. And you're going to see a broken man. You're going to feel for him, and you're going to get to know him as he's journeying back and he's trying to get back into, being part of the community and being part of civilization. And I think a lot of times people take for granted what our U.S. soldiers have given us. Yes, they've given us freedom and they've given us the comfort and the luxuries that we do enjoy in the United States. But we tend to take for granted that because even our own government, it has a lot of work it needs to do to help our veterans. Because when you look at the system that our veterans have for medical care, it's all based around the physical aspects. It's not a lot has been done for the mental aspects. And that's I want to lightly touch that with this film so that we can have some good conversations and we can get some knowledge out there so that people can start talking and maybe we can, promote some change. And a lot of the veterans I've talked to really think that that's needed. And I'm excited about it. My own family, I come from a family of U.S. soldiers. All of them have been honorably discharged. And my own father was a Vietnam vet. So I know coming from childhood what my family has sacrificed, as well as what the communities have done to our soldiers when they have come back. And it has gotten better, but I'd like to see it even more better, an improvement. And with this said, I've got a great cast. I've got Dr. John Chapman's going to be played by Anthony Lavari, who is wonderful. Air Force Amy, who is a very successful woman and is a retired Air Force veteran, well decorated. And I'm very proud to have an opportunity to work with her in this. She's going to be playing playing a bartender as Air Force Amy. So that's going to be awesome. And then Sue is going to be played by Christina Lasser, and she's working currently on her project called Aversion right now. But she'll be coming with us and on board. We've announced her as well. And then Judy is being played by Leonora Scalfo from Scream, and I'm excited to get her in this role because Judy is Barney's love and former wife. And then, like I said, Sergeant Barney is being played by Andrew Pierson, and I think he'll do a great job in fulfilling that role. We do have other casts that we have not announced yet, and we're still actively trying to fill those. And but like I always say, it's a small cast. It's maybe 25 less, so it's not a very big cast. We have 8 campers that we'll be casting for, and those campers are unfortunately the campers that are going to be having to deal with Barney's revenge. And with that said, all of my kill scenes that I've worked with Guthrie Lowe and Phil Herman on are on lockdown, so even the cast does not know how they're being killed. So I know everybody's like, "Gosh, you're such a such a stickler and you're so mean, but I'm not. I want everybody to be surprised, and I really want my cast to be surprised so that as we're filming it, they're shocked and they're experiencing the same way the audience is experiencing.
Right. And you know, and now that you mention it, I mean, usually whenever people get killed in real life, I mean, usually it's something like they'll catch it by surprise, and most of the time they're not anticipating it. And therefore, what you actually are doing, actually, I would say, like, is a very, very wise choice to make.
Thank you. I've gotten a lot of flack over it, but I'm excited about it. I think that I don't want it leaked out, and I want everybody to be surprised about that, and as well as the ending. I have about 2 to 3 that I'm tossing, and I may just do all 3 and decide what 3 I'm going to pick out of it, and maybe add the other 2 in the distribution of DVD aspect, so that everybody can see what we were looking at. Because I want people to be excited about this. We're excited about it.
Right, yeah, of course. And I mean, the last thing anybody wants when watching a movie is to have it be spoiled for you. I mean, unfortunately, I've had that happen numerous times. And yeah, like, just having it ruined for you, like, it just ruins I mean, it just really makes the experience, like, just not as fun.
Yeah, and you don't want to walk into a movie knowing how it's going to end, and you don't want
Yeah,
to walk into a movie and know, okay, well, I'm going to see a gunshot aspect, or I'm going to see this special effects, and then it's kind of like ruined to me.
yeah.
And we've seen a lot of you can't you've seen a lot of duplicate kills. We're trying to make sure that every kill is different.
Hmm.
Every scene is different, and that's challenging. That's not easy to write. That's not easy to create as well.
And funny is because the reason why I'm starting to laugh now that you mention it, I actually was watching a behind the scenes documentary. I believe it was for Friday the 13th Part 8, but like where I believe it was the director, like how he said that, yeah, when I was making the movie, when I was trying to come up with all these ways, like, for Jason, like, to kill all these people, he was like, is there anything wrong with me, like just knowing that I'm trying to come up with all these ways, like, to brutally murder people?
I know it's kind of demented sometimes. I think, wow, I go to movies and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I don't know, I might have done that a little differently.
Mhm.
I think my goal is to make the special effects and the kill scenes as real as I can get it.
Mhm.
Um, when we did the proof of concept trailer, we shot that out in North Carolina, and it was just a little taste of what our movie theme is about. And I had a challenge because I'm not, my specialty is not special effects. And I'm a
Right.
30-year critical care veteran. I've worked in trauma units, so I know what things need to look like, um,
Hmm.
and what a gunshot wound looks like, what somebody's degloved arm looks like. And for some people, they're just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't handle that." But I want
Yeah.
it to really look like what it's supposed to be. So I met Michaelin, who is new to her craft of special effects, and she is also an actress as well, just starting out and getting up. And we worked together on creating our kill scene for the proof of concept. And I'm
Hmm.
so proud of her because she created a beautiful, I know it sounds so terrible, doesn't it? Guts. The guts were just amazing. And I felt like, wow, she nailed it. And we were able to capture it cinematically with Anthony, who was my cinematographer. And the whole team came together and we were able to position it and so that the audience could really feel what that looks like and really see the true aspect of what a gut wound would truly look like.
Right. Yeah. Of course. And I think it was Tom Savini. I believe that Tom Savini said that when you're doing special effects, it pretty much is a magic trick. Well, like we're pretty much like if the audience watching the magic trick doesn't buy it, well, and then the whole thing isn't going to work. And I mean, a good example of special effects and all that, when me and a friend of mine like were watching, I believe it was the original Sharknado, like we were just laughing like at how all the sharks in it looked obviously fake. And I mean, to be fair, with a movie like Sharknado, they probably weren't trying to aim for realism. But I
No,
mean,
I wouldn't think they would be. I
no,
mean,
no,
the reality is there's not going to be a shark in a tornado unless it goes over the ocean and then but I've
yeah,
never seen that.
exactly, yeah. But I mean, like, just knowing like just how much me and my friend were laughing, it's because we could so tell it was obviously fake. And so because we could tell it's fake, well, like it kind of took us out of the moment. But I mean, like what we said, for a movie like Sharknado, I mean, that's obviously the kind of tone that they're going for.
Yeah, yeah, you would think that. And I think that I like talking about the horror community. I like talking because I feel like there's enough out there and there's enough room for all of us to create something. And, someone can create something darker versus someone creating something more of a rom-com aspect. There's enough room for everyone to be a part of this process and for everyone to enjoy each other's work.
Yeah.
That's how I feel anyway.
Oh yeah, certainly so. So you mentioned that the film was filmed in North Carolina. Like, was the entire film filmed there, or just some scenes?
Just the proof of concept is filmed. We are not filming until late June, and I'm joining my team out in California to film out there. So it'll be late June that we're filming the movie. Right now, we're in the pre-production part of our movie creation. So unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to join my crew out in California to make the proof of concept. And so Guthrie, my director, worked with me over our interactions and course of time, and we created a concept of what I needed to shoot. It was my first little stab at directing, and I got a North Carolina team together, a very small team. I like to call it bootstrapped. And
Right.
we went out to a cabin in North Carolina. And of course, Mother Nature never cooperates. It was 27 degrees.
Oh,
We had moments of sleet. And so you don't see Barney and my actress McKaylin in the bundled of layers of clothing as we film. But every time we were cutting, we were putting jackets on them, trying to keep them warm.
oh
But
yeah.
we're
God.
we're in that early aspect of that. We're getting ready to launch our Indiegogo campaign. We should be seeing that in a couple weeks. 1 or 2 weeks, we should be ready to launch that. And I'm so excited and ready for everyone's support to support us so that we can make this dream a reality. Everyone knows in the indie film world, we are relying on everybody's support and support of each other. We can't make these dreams happen on just the dream itself, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And so to all of you watching, as soon as the Indiegogo goes up, please go support it, please. And yeah, and then of course, as soon as the Indiegogo goes up, I will be sure to donate as much as I can, and I'll share it. I'll share it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We want everyone. We have a public group on Facebook called Phil Herman's A Soldier's Descent. And we put everything, we're putting a lot of information there as well as sharing it on our own personal Facebook pages. But it's a public group. You don't have to join it to be a part of the group. But if you want to join it, that's great. But we appreciate everybody supporting us and getting the word out, because a lot of people do want to support this.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, a lot of the most popular independent films, such as Halloween and Terrifier, a lot of those films didn't have like the marketing budget, and so those films had to rely on word of mouth. And then because the word of mouth is why that they eventually became what they are now. And I mean, heck, like if you go to Spirit Halloween, whenever it's open, you are always going to see Michael Myers merchandise, costumes, and masks, and the same thing now even for Art. Like with Art the Clown. So yeah.
Yeah, and a matter of fact, when Terrifier came out, I loved seeing it in the film, and I felt like, wow, finally, someone has got a concept in there that they're not so worried about, you know, upsetting the social norm aspect, and you know what
Yeah.
I mean with that, because you know, being in the indie world, we have a little bit more freedom of not
Mhm.
having to worry about cancel culture aspect. And
Yep.
whereas, our big film brothers and sisters of MGM, Sony, they're not touching these subjects. And that's
Hmm.
why I feel like I have an opportunity to really give this subject a proper, I would say, voice and a proper spotlight.
Hmm. Yep, and usually it just takes for that one person to break that boundary. It just usually takes that one person just for them to, and then just for them like to change like the whole entire world like of like of movies. I mean, good example when the original Saw came out. I mean, there might have been a few torture movies here and there, but I mean, a lot of people definitely will point to Saw, like as to why that there were so many, like why there were so many torture movies afterwards.
Yeah, and Saw has a great underground following. A lot of
Yeah.
people they love that, and it has. I think it's like opened people's minds to some different things different torture aspects that people don't think about. It's very creative on how they've made that, and it's a film that I've enjoyed. But I like more the Shape of Water, The Village, and I love Nightmare on Elm Street.
Good old classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but yeah, I mean, the only problem that I have with The Village, not so much the film itself, it's more so the marketing. It's just the marketing for that movie. They made it seem like a horror movie, but then when you actually watch the movie, it's not a horror movie whatsoever. So yeah, a lot of
No, I
people
agree
didn't
with
like
you.
that movie. So yeah.
Yeah, but I liked it because it was more of a kind of more of a love story aspect and
Hmm.
more sci-fi, and I
Hmm.
enjoyed that. And The Village, I loved it because it's a concept that a lot of us don't think about, and it touches a whole different um, concept of civilization and what people can do when trauma happens to them.
Hmm.
Because if
Yep.
you remember in the storyline of The Village, the folks that decided to create their own village and make it privatized was because they had huge traumatic events happen to them. So they isolated themselves. And, then I thought it was good to me. I could connect with it because sometimes you just want to go home when everything just goes wrong in the day. And who does it? We don't always have perfect days,
Right. Yeah.
especially in the nursing career. You just don't see that. I see people at their worst, and I got to help them figure out how to live from what just happened or how to deal with it.
Right, yeah, and I definitely would say that that's very fair. And it's always whenever somebody goes through anything traumatic in life, it's usually those events like that are a turning point for their entire life. I mean, even though it's a fictional character, but I feel like that Bruce Wayne's a really good example of that. But like, it was when that Bruce Wayne witnessed his own parents getting shot right in front of him. It was at that moment like that forever changed his life.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times, that's how I feel like Sergeant Barney in his journey through trying to get back into civilization, all the trauma he's been through, it's still triggering him. It's still there, and you can't numb this stuff down with drugs. You can't numb it down with alcohol. You can't numb it down by being, isolating yourself. And we're trying to show that, and give a voice to that aspect so we can, just educate people a little bit more.
Right, yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, unfortunately, it seems to me you probably will agree that it seems to me that a lot of people just don't understand, mental health and PTSD, and so I feel like that unfortunately that's why a lot of people who are going through stuff like that don't want to talk about it, and that's just extremely sad.
I think that a lot of folks that are dealing with the PTSD, they do want to talk about it. It's just that where do you talk about it at, and who can you
Mhm.
safely talk about it with?
Yep.
That's the challenge. And if we don't put out, if we don't, as a community and as a country, if we don't help get safe areas and more, to me, a better system of helping these folks, they're just, it's not a good thing, you know? To
Oh
me,
yeah,
they're
definitely.
struggling and I don't want to see them struggle. I want to, I, that's why I wanted to do this movie. And when I got the script, was just like, wow, this has been waiting for someone to tackle. And yes, it was done in Rambo, you know,
Yep.
it was done well. But this is Rambo meets I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I hope that we can give it a more entertaining spin on it while
Right.
still giving people a chance to go home and go, wow, I know so and so, and I wonder if he's been feeling this. Not saying that he's been trying to be a killer, but having the
Well,
conversations of, you know, hey, maybe I need to reach out and check on my buddy. Maybe I need to reach out and check on so and so, because we all, even if we haven't been soldiers, we all have dealt with something in our life, whether it's been an extreme trauma or a light trauma. We're dealing with things, and it's all about how we communicate with one another, treat each other with respect and love.
oh yeah, exactly. And I mean, which is the exact reason why that I am always kind to everybody that I meet is because that you truly never know what it is that they're going through. And I mean, just by you being nice to that person, it could change their entire world.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the probably on the social media the outfits that people wear, like "Please be kind," "You're important," you know. This may be your hardest day, but you can get through this. To
Mhm.
me, those are great messages, and I feel that it's important for us to be kind to one another, even to complete strangers. You know, it's important. You don't know what they're going through. They could have been given a very bad diagnosis of a medical aspect that
Yeah.
morning, and you don't know why they're upset. You know, I always find that it's just better to be kind.
Oh, it is. Yeah. And I mean, we don't always know what exactly it is like that's going on like in people's lives. Like say for one day you can see a friend or a coworker and they can be all happy, have a big smile on their face, they're talking to everybody, and the very next day that can change within seconds. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, going back to my 30 years of being a critical care nurse and working in nursing, I've learned how to compartmentalize things so that I can go from one trauma case and go to something that's not that big of an aspect,
Right.
not that I don't want to downplay things, but it could
Right.
be a sore throat that they came in to see us where we had something else that was happening, and just being able to walk away from I've lost a patient because the medical aspect of it, they weren't able to survive it, and then have to turn right around and go into the next room with a smile on my face, and care for them. And just it's a lot, and people don't realize that even in the healthcare aspect, what as nurses and doctors and our nurse techs, what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And this is not a movie platform that we're dealing with that piece on. I'm hoping one day I'll get a script in front of me that I can actually showcase that a little bit and get people to have that conversation. But even in healthcare and in any job that anybody has, we're dealing with each other's humanity, and we need to be kind to one another.
Yeah. And I mean, I also have worked in the medical field too, and yeah, and I can definitely say that working in a hospital, it can definitely be rough at times. It's because unfortunately that's where a lot of people like will go when their life is over. And so there will be some times where you'll go into a hospital room and you'll see a whole entire family there, like with some of their close friends, and then like they're all saying their goodbyes to people. So yeah, I mean, working at a job like that, it's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, and some people don't realize a lot of people don't get to say goodbye, and that's what's even
Yeah.
harder, you know? And I think that's why I feel so blessed and lucky. My husband helped me create my production company. Andrew Pierson is a great. I just have to brag. He's a wonderful husband, and he's so supportive of my dreams. And I didn't realize till late in life that I really wanted to make movies, and I really wanted to create things. I've always loved horror. And I think that's because of my childhood and what how I developed as a person and as a nurse. I love the aspect of gore, and I like to watch a good kill scene, and I love to see I like to see the good and the bad guys and the character development, because when you get down to the bottom of it, the good guy and the bad guy, they're pretty much alike. There's a lot you like about them. And then one just makes some bad decisions where the other one's trying to fight for the right aspect. But if you travel down that rabbit hole of your killer, you will still be able, as a human being, to connect with some of the things that they're going through, as well as some of their personality aspects.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, and I mean, I also did have I also did have your husband on this podcast, and I'm just going to be honest. I'm not saying this, and I'm not saying this just to be nice. I'm not saying this, just because he's your husband. But to be really honest, Andrew definitely is one of. Now, I won't say that I have like a number one favorite guest that I have ever had on, but I mean, in no particular order, Andrew definitely, honestly, would be one of. He definitely would be one of them. I mean, he is just such a wonderful guy, and I mean, like, talking to Andrew, like, it's just a lot of fun. I like to have a conversation with him, and and I mean, with all these projects that I've been seeing that he's been doing on Facebook, I'm like, you go, dude. Like, you deserve it, dude. Go for it. Earn it.
Yeah, I can't keep up with everything that he's doing. Somebody put a post on Facebook that they saw him in their front yard. I just had to laugh because sometimes I feel like that. I'm like, where are you going? What are we doing? What is it that you're doing this time? And I get a kick out of it. I love watching him grow in his acting career, and I love watching his kindness.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
That's what I love about being married to a wonderful person that has such a big heart, and he truly does. He doesn't let. Yeah, and when you talk to him, and even if you're in a room with him, he talks to everybody, and I can't take that man anywhere without people like that. Complete strangers come up. We watched a film called Brave the Dark, and this film actually has a personal connection for Andrew. It was a film about his teacher, and I didn't realize how much of an impact his professor his high school professor had on him. And as we sat there, and then we left the theater, and the other couple that was in there just came up and started talking to Andrew, because he had shared with them, they had overheard our conversation that that was his teacher. And it was really neat to watch him interact with them, and then to share some of because they asked him what movies he was going to be on. And, he's not better than anybody, and he never acts that way. And I think that that's the one thing that I love about being with him, is because we could go out and we could be in the middle of a convenience store, and a complete stranger just comes up, and whether they come up to me or they come up to him, and they just start telling us their whole life story, and we want to listen and we want to care. Mm-hmm. But it's just amazing to watch how he can make people laugh, and he can just bring you right on in there. And he plays serial killers. He plays. That's what kills me is people just come right up to him, and it's like, if they knew what he played, sometimes I wonder, would you so willingly come up to him? And he had such a hard time. Andrew had such a hard time becoming the characters of the bad guy. And I said, to me, that's such it's important to play a bad guy, and I think that you could have so much more fun with it. And I told him, I said, anybody can be a superhero,
yeah,
but it takes a special person to bring forth the villain and give the villain the character and the presence it needs to have. And for people to be able to connect to the villain, because there is a villain in all of us. It's in there. Whether we allow that villain out is,
Yep.
is the it's the prodigal aspect of it all, and it's the layer of us. And that's why I just think I've encouraged him so much to please take this on, and he's done well with it. I really I'm very proud.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely so. And and when you mentioned that, like about how he's such a nice guy, and yet in a lot of movies, like he plays a serial killer, it reminds me about how a lot of these big time horror actors, like Boris Karloff and Tobin Bell and Robert Englund and all those big name horror people, like on the screen, they play such despicable, awful characters, but in real life, they are the complete opposite. And
Teddy bears.
yeah,
Speaking of being a part of one of Phil Herman's movies, Jacker 3, which will be coming out, we got the opportunity to do a scene for him with Jacker 3, and it was hilarious because Phil approached Andrew and said, "Yeah, your wife can play, the victim." And my husband goes, "My wife does not. She's not an actress. She just does like little scenes." And Phil was adamant. He's like, "No, it'll be fine. She can play Maria." He comes to me. He's like, "Well, Phil thinks that you can play Maria, and the Scorpio aspect of me is, don't tell me that I can't do something, because I really want to do this." And so we got to have that scene, and to me it was special. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, but it was really special to me because I have such an intimate relationship with the actor that when they're killing you, there's a lot of trust there. You really have to have trust because you're going through a scene that it takes you down a rabbit hole that's just interesting.
Oh, it does. Yeah. And so yeah. And so, out of curiosity, how did all that pan out?
Oh well, we had Chris Warren, our cinematographer for that piece, and Guthrie Lowe was our director. And I've not done professional acting. I haven't done a lot, and so to have that piece and I just had fun with it. I enjoyed it. The scene was amazing. I don't want to leak too much because I want people to watch it. But to have someone grab you and you're not expecting it can scare the living daylights out of you. You just really see it. And Guthrie did a great job at helping me get into that character because, like I said, I'm not a professional actress, and I'm more behind the scenes. I like to create. I like to produce the movies, and I'm getting my hand into the directing aspect as well. But it was exciting. The special effects aspect of it was interesting. Having your outfit ruined and knowing you only have one take on this outfit, even though you brought another outfit.
Oh gosh, that's all really interesting. And yeah, I mean, coming from me, I mean, I have done a lot of horror films, and so a lot of the stuff a lot of stuff you're telling me is reminding me of all the stuff that happened to me when I was on set, and yeah, I feel like that's something what a lot of people will relate to. And I mean, especially especially if there's somebody who does horror films, and what it seems to me, at least. It seems to me like that the two genres within indie films like that have the biggest market, and in no particular order. It seems to me it's either action films or it will be horror films.
I agree totally. That's what I see as well. I see it's either action or it's horror or it's mixed together. We see a lot of that. It just slides right in perfectly together.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to be a love of fake blood. You really have to like it. And there's a lot of people that don't. But I will tell you, I got warned in our scene, please be careful because, the car is a rental.
Ooh,
I made a
yeah,
mess.
definitely don't want to have to pay for those repairs.
Yeah, folks don't think about that as they're watching it, but it was hilarious to watch the projectile aspect of everything.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, it depends on the movie. I mean, a lot of movies definitely will use fake blood, but a lot of them won't use the exact same recipe. I mean, there will be some people who would just go to Spirit Halloween, like just buy the fake blood there. Or I believe with Psycho, the original Psycho, I believe they use corn syrup, and yeah, I mean, usually it just depends on what your fake blood is made out of. So yeah.
Well, the reality, I got educated by Joe Castro. I enjoy watching his work. I think he's a wonderful special effects artist, and his artistry is amazing. He he shared with me that fake blood for the special effects community, that's their private recipes. So they're not just going to like give that out to you. That each
That's
person has a different recipe for how they create their effects, even if they're creating the head, the features. I mean, they all work together, but certain things are kept quiet, and and I think that that's great. I love the fact that they're good at their craft, and I enjoy watching them create things.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, and I can imagine for all the people who use corn syrup, I can imagine like that probably would attract a lot of, insects and bees. So that's but yeah, and so then I guess they could say that all those bees needed to mind their own business.
Nice corny joke there. I like that. Well, I think what's funny is like as I went down through learning how to make guts, I realized because I I was instructed to use pantyhose, and I'm like, well, this isn't going to look real. A pair of pantyhose, to me, I wanted something different. So we ended up going down, and we were using the pork skin from sausages,
Mhm.
and then creating it from that. And I won't go into too much more of the details aspect of it, but you soak that baby in some blood, and she looks real.
Oh, I can imagine. Imagine, yeah. Oh gosh, that must have been quite the sight to see.
Having a bucket of that reminded me of my summer farm days with my grandparents, and dealing with the cows and the pigs and the chickens.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah. So yeah, and so you were saying that your new movie is going to be filming in June. Do you have an approximation like for when the film will be released?
Not yet, because we don't even have it in the can yet. So I'm hoping that it'll be released. The realities of editing, yeah, the realities of editing, and then we're dreaming and hoping for a theatrical release. That's what we really want for our
Mhm.
picture. And so we're hoping, I really can't give you a timeline. I don't know what that looks like yet because I feel like we're still in the early stages of everything. We're in pre-production. We've got to get the funding, the campaign
Oh,
going. So that's the campaign's coming out in 1 to 2 weeks. You'll be seeing that out on Indiegogo. And
yeah. Okay.
I ask everyone to support us, and I appreciate everyone for the support that everyone has given us to this point. I appreciate everyone who's given us advice, have talked to us about different things, and we're a big family, and then that's how we look at our film community. We're a family, and we have to be
Yeah,
supportive of each other. Um,
exactly.
and then we've got to get logistics because we don't even know the sites yet where we're going
Yeah.
to be filming because we're working on that too. So as everything progresses, we'll be giving updates on our Facebook page and letting everybody know, as we're progressing, what's going on and what we're doing. And I hope to have behind the scenes footage as well for people to watch on our Facebook page to,
Mhm.
so that they can continue the journey with us as we're creating this. Because I want people to be involved and I want them to feel involved so that when they do see that final creation, they're going to be like, wow, I followed this from the beginning.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, coming from someone like me, like with all of my feature length films that I've directed, well, at least so far within my journey, I mean, I also was the one like who edited them, and so I could testify. Editing, you need to really know your software, and you need to have the right software, because if you have the wrong software, it can drive you insane. And yeah, I mean, it's very time consuming. And I mean, just with a few scenes that only are like a few minutes long, it could take hours and hours just to edit it. It's because you have to gather all the files, and you have to edit it in the right order, and you have to make it flow in a fluent way. You're gonna want to have it seem choppy. I mean, unless if you're trying to create an effect, but for the most part, you definitely do want it to be as fluent as possible.
Yeah, and I agree. I think a lot of people don't realize one scene that we cut can take hours to create. And as I've journeyed down this road, I've realized the footage is really important, you
Yeah,
know, as well as letting your actors have the ability to retake a scene as many times as it takes. You know, realistically, let's not
right,
do
of course.
Marilyn Monroe moment of 100 and plus scene tapes I've
Yeah,
heard in the history books. Yeah, we don't want that. But, just the reality of giving them that freedom so that they can land the role the way that they feel that their character is. Because they really do a lot of character development. They
mhm,
really dig in there. And that's how they're able to bring forth the value of the film to the audience. And
right.
with that editing piece, I don't know anything about editing. I'm going to be honest. I've watched a lot of editing, but no, I'm going to leave that to my specialist of editing. I'm going to leave that the sound. I'm leaving that into the hands of my crew, because they know what they do, and I picked them for the reasons that they've done great work.
Hmm. Oh yeah, exactly. And yeah, and I mean, I could definitely understand why that you would want to hand it off to someone else. And I mean, it's not that I have anything against, well, like the whole process of editing and sound, but yeah, I mean, it's very time consuming, and you really need to know what it is that you're doing. Is because if you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna, it's gonna end up being a disaster. And I mean, of course, you don't want to have all that time and effort, be all for nothing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize what it takes to put a movie together. They don't even realize that, yes, it's the actors. They're in the front part. They're the ones delivering the piece to you,
Yep.
and they're the ones that you're connecting with. But we have a lot of people in the background that got us to where we're at. You've got, you have the sound crew, you have the special effects crew, you have the cinematographer, and I know I'm leaving a lot of people out. But that's just three of the multi verse of people that are involved in bringing a movie out. That's why everybody laughs at me, because my husband and I, we sit and we watch the credits, and I enjoy watching the credits because I want to see who's doing what. I want to see where it's filmed, but not everybody looks at that, because they go, okay, the actors are done, we're done, the movie's done, but it's really not. It's, to
Hmm.
me, the ending is your credits. You look at where they filmed it at, who was behind which part, and it gives you a chance to, I feel, have a better understanding of what was done to create this movie.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, I think that we can thank Marvel, like, for being one of the reasons why that a lot of people actually will not just get up and leave like right as soon as the credits leave. I mean, Marvel actually made it popular, like, for people to be forced to stay throughout the credits if they want to see that post credit scene. Which, I mean, I'm sure that there definitely were movies that had a post credit scene before Marvel really made it popular. But I mean, a lot of people definitely will do that now. And yeah, and I mean, Marvel really was the one that made it, what it is now.
Well, wasn't 007 that way too, though? I can't remember if the ends were that way.
That's a
I
good
almost
question.
feel like they were, but maybe they weren't. I don't remember. I'm not very good with some of that memory aspect, but I do remember
Right.
seeing Hard Eyes recently, and they had stuff at the end. They had a little trickle, some more
Yeah.
credits, and then they had it at the end. And I love that. I think that allows people to sit their butts in the seat and watch the credits.
Uh-huh,
Because I
yeah.
think it's important, you should see, it's not just who played the cast role. Let's see who did some of these special effects. Let's see
Hmm.
how many people were, when it comes to the the AI aspect of the effects, some of that, the effects that we can do in the post production that we can't do in the production itself. Who was involved in that? Who created that? And to me,
Yeah,
I think those folks need to be showcased as well, because without them, we don't have a film.
exactly. And now that you mention it, I'm definitely really curious now about the James Bond movies. I mean, of course, I have seen them. I just haven't watched them in a really, really long time. It's just, life got in the way. And I don't remember off the top of my head if any of them did or not. But, now as soon as we get done wrapping this up, I mean, the first thing that I'm going to go do is, oh, okay, did a James Bond movie have a post
I'm
credit?
wondering if it did or if it was just the music videos I'm remembering, because remember their music videos, they were amazing, and you'd see them at the beginning and then you'd see them at the end. I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking about, and maybe not a scene that moves to the next one. But to me, I think as a filmmaker, I think it's good to have something that just kind of gets people to watch, because you may not always be done with that character or that film.
Exactly. And yeah, and and the thing that Marvel, like, which made, like, the way as to how that they made doing that popular is the fact that it would set up the film afterwards.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that they've done a great job with that after piece and showcasing that. I think that it's really cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of an example that's not Marvel where they did a post credit scene. I know that there has to be one. I think Kong Skull Island did. I think that they had like a little tease of Godzilla versus Kong at the very end of that.
I can't remember. I don't remember that, but they might
Maybe,
have.
maybe, but I haven't seen Kong Skull Island in a really, really long time. So
Yeah,
I'm
neither do
mostly,
I.
so yeah, I'm mostly just going off of memory. And yeah, and I mean, crazy to imagine that that film came out as long ago as it did. And I mean, heck, I'm just now realizing Star Wars: The Force Awakens this year marks the 10-year anniversary when that movie came out.
Yeah, it does.
That is crazy. That movie's 10 years old now?
Isn't it interesting, as we were just chatting, because I was watching Final Destination. I came home and I was like, let me just put this on because there's another one coming out, and I was like, let me just remember some of this, because I remember a lot of their scenes,
Uh-huh.
and it's just amazing to look at it, and it's like, gosh, that was filmed not very long ago, and look at it, just it still has presence,
Hmm.
but it doesn't match what we are now, because of technology and the way
Yeah.
things change. I guess that's where I'm saying the lack of is there, because things have changed, but the whole theme of and the message of the movie is still there.
Yeah.
So it
And
has its relevance.
yeah, and I mean, that right there is a sign that your film definitely has with stood the test of time, as I knowing that people can watch it years and years later and they can still enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just even talking about my favorite one is A Nightmare on Elm Street. I love that. Freddy Krueger was my favorite villain. I mean, I when I was young, I watched that, and I wasn't supposed to, because I'm a very imaginative, push the envelope child, very independent and headstrong. So when I watched it, I had nightmares. Yeah, and my folks had to deal with it. But I love Freddy Krueger, and I love the fact that the whole theme of that was, talking about being able to be visited in your dreams, and
Mhm.
how big your dreams can be, and how sometimes we make our reality so much worse in our mind than what it really is.
Hmm. Yeah, which it's actually really ironic knowing that you had a nightmare after watching a movie like that has to do with nightmares.
I know, it's funny. I thought that was hilarious. It was like a nightmare where I was being chased, I jumped out of a second-story building, and I'm being chased down a cornfield with someone that's got Freddy's fingers, you know. And it was, it didn't really match and make sense, but it was impactful.
Yeah, well, hey, and I mean, like a lot of the filmmakers who have made horror movies, they will say that, yeah, that they had an experience like that, like where they saw a movie at a young kid and it really scared them, and then afterwards, it made them actually want to go out there and make horror films. I mean, that's what happened to me when I saw the original Halloween back when I was in the fifth grade. Uh, so what happened was that a guy named Zach at my school, he was like, "Oh, Halloween is the scariest movie ever made," and it was because of how he hyped it up. It got me a lot more intrigued to see it.
Yeah.
And then one day, like on Halloween, I couldn't sleep, so I popped on the TV and Halloween was on. I was like, okay, let's see what you got, scariest movie ever made. But then as soon as the da, 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 as soon as that was playing, I had chills going down my spine. And I'm like, okay, now I can see why he said it's as scary as it is. And just seeing that Michael Myers mask, it's horrifying. And just knowing that it's so simple, but it's so effective.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I always say there's so much room for so many different avenues of how we create our horror films. There's so many different things, and I love the Halloween series. I've loved the movies, but I'm more of a Freddy Krueger girl. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I've enjoyed those.
Yeah, and yeah, and the thing that I love about those movies is the fact that a lot of horror movies at that time, like where they had a killer and they had a mask and he wouldn't talk. But along came A Nightmare on Elm Street, by like with Freddy Krueger. While yes, it is a slasher movie, but it did something completely different, which then made it stand out like from all the rest. Like where Freddy doesn't wear a mask. I mean, yeah, he wears makeup, but it's not a mask. And knowing that Michael Myers, Jason, a lot of those killers at that time didn't talk, but Freddy does, and Freddy has a personality.
Yeah, and I love the fact of the personality that they created for him, and how they developed that personality, and you know how it interacted in the dreams, and how realistic the dreams were.
Mm-hmm.
That was really put together well. I enjoyed that aspect. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, the scene where you're in the classroom and you fall asleep and you're still in the classroom, but
Mm-hmm.
you're in your dream and you can't figure out that you don't realize that you're still in your dream. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just that that was good movie making.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things that made it so relatable because so many people, including myself, can all tell you about how when we had a dream or a nightmare and it felt so real, like where we actually thought it was real, and then as soon as we wake up, we and then are relieved, like just knowing the fact that it wasn't real.
Yeah, I mean, so many times people talk about deja vu, or they talk about how they have a dream and it helps them figure out a problem, and I really believe that. I think that our brain is constructed, and we've been given the gift to be able to sometimes solve problems and go into another realm, while our body is resting and healing itself to, just to entertain itself while we're sleeping. It's different. And I like
Yeah,
it. I think that a lot of people don't touch on that.
yeah, and with it being a dream, I mean, dreams don't always make sense,
No, they
but
don't.
but you know, but yet that allow the filmmakers to like to get really, really, really creative, like with all the kill scenes and like in all of the nightmare movies. Is the fact that well, because it's a dream and that dreams don't always logically make sense, we can do whatever crazy idea that we want.
Yeah, and I mean, I wanted to see them beat Freddy, but at the same time, I didn't want Freddy destroyed because I love Freddy. I mean, you develop a relationship of the character, you really like him because you understand that the parents did something bad and he did it just the whole dynamic of it. And you sit here and you can look at your own life and go, wow, black and white, and how it mixes, and how we can go into this big gray area. It's interesting to be able to watch a film and be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even though in some of the movies they quote unquote killed him off, but yeah, in the next movie they always found a way to bring it back. And I mean, heck, in the fourth movie, Freddy got brought back because a dog literally urinated on him.
I know, and I love that scene because it's just so funny. Like, oh great, dog pee brought you back. We rehydrated a burnt aspect. You're a little crispy there. Let me give you some hydration, and there's some protein.
So then, in that case, I guess you could say you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's just so funny, like how a lot of these movie villains like get brought back in all these ways. But Freddy, I think, is one of the very few like where you can claim that it was a dog pissing on him that brought him.
Yeah, I can't forget that one. I don't even know why I didn't even remember that one off the top of my head.
Yeah, and also even in Freddy's Dead, like people can say what they want about the movie itself, but I mean, it definitely was really entertaining. Like when Freddy got the one guy's ear like to blow off, and then he was like, "Nice hearing from you, Carlos."
Yeah, but my favorite is the theme song. That remember 1, 2,
Too many coming for you.
yeah, 3, 4. You better lock that door.
5, 6, like a crucifix.
But it's the same thing as your Halloween, and that
Yep.
musical
Yeah,
aspect.
the
You know who's coming for you.
exactly. And I just now realized this. I think one of the reasons why that both of those songs have stood the test of time is that knowing that they're very simple. And there is a saying once that I heard that often the simplest ideas are the best ones.
Yeah, and like I was chatting with Andrew, we watched a movie called The Valiant, and it's another movie. It's not a war movie, but it's a true story movie about the veterans, and they were out. I can't remember where they were out in North Korea. They got caught across the lines in North Korea, and it was only, I think, they made 83 million, and they didn't put a lot into it to bring it out, but they got theatrical release, and it was good. I felt a little disappointed because towards the I didn't realize we were towards the end, and it only had 20 minutes left. My husband looks over and goes, "Yeah, there's 20 minutes left," because I thought it was going to pick up. I was waiting for something more, and it just didn't give me what I was expecting. But I still thought it was a great movie, and I feel like a lot of people. I don't know. I feel you should, as a film person, that a movie buff lover, you got to go see all the movies. You got to give everybody a chance because it gives you a chance to experience something. You're going on a journey with that filmmaker.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And this is why that I will go support indie films in the theaters. Like heck, like back when the Winnie the Pooh horror movie, back when that was announced, it originally like was just gonna get a release on like Tubi or whichever. But then because it gained so much attention, because it's Winnie the Pooh like as like a bloodthirsty killer, and it then got a theatrical release, and like as an indie filmmaker myself, knowing that I would die like to have one of my movies be played at a theater, I am gonna go support this.
Yeah, and that's why I like to go and support everybody, because I feel like as a filmmaker and in the filmmaker family, we need each other's support, and we need to go support each other and watch at each other's creations and ideas, because you could still get an idea from somebody else's work, and not just that, it's the right thing to do to support one another.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I mean, reminds me of a saying like that we all have heard in our lives, like basically treat others the way how you would like to be treated. And so yeah, so basically, um, if you would like people to support you, well, then it just only makes sense that you and then should go support other people too. And there's also people out there who will say that because of COVID, like the theaters are dying down, and people have been saying like that. Well, because of movies like Barbie and a few other movies, definitely have helped to get people back to the theater. And I'm not saying that I have anything against like Tubi or HBO Max. I know it's called Max now, but in my opinion, it just sounds better to call HBO Max or Netflix and so on and so forth. I don't have anything against that, but it's just if you truly want to get the real cinematic experience of watching a movie, see it on the big screen. Like a good example, Jaws. Jaws is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I love
And
that movie.
oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. And I saw it on DVD so many times, but then around 10 years ago now, like was when they re-released it in theaters for I think the 40th anniversary. And then that was the first time I saw it on the big screen. Seeing
And
it
it's so
on
much different. So much
yeah, it
different.
is.
And I got to see it recently, and recently on the big screen because AMC had it out, and so we went and watched it in one of their theaters. I was like, I loved it. It was amazing, even though I knew it all. Same with ET. They allowed
Right,
it
yeah.
released again, and I love ET. I know everybody's like, oh yeah, whatever, but I loved ET because it was a great story and it had heart to it, and
Mhm.
to me, it was just very magical, to go along with that journey and just to see everything as it progressed out. It was to me, I loved watching it back on the big screen. I just felt like a big kid again.
Yeah, which is ironic the fact that I mentioned Jaws and you mentioned E.T.
Yeah,
When both of them actually are directed by Spielberg. So
yeah, yeah, and they're both great in their own right. And just seeing them back on the big screen, it just reminds you the importance of why we need to support our cinemas. And having watched what our whole world went through with COVID, I hope that we never have to go through it again. And I hate talking about it. Yeah. But I think the reality is that life is so fragile. And
it
I think
is.
that's the lesson we need to have taken away from that is that our lives are so fragile. And with that, you need to do your dreams and you need to chase your dreams and don't let
Yeah,
people tell you that your dream isn't real and you can't reach it. Because a lot of times they gave up on their own dream and that's why they're telling you that. So you should just,
exactly.
I always say, just be polite to them and kind, listen to what they have to say because they might have tidbits that you can take away to make you more successful. But at the same time, chase your dreams, please.
Exactly.
You only get a little bit of time on earth, and I don't want my little bit of time on earth wasted. I want to say if I get that moment to reflect and go, I did it. I did everything. I burned everything down. I lit it up.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, the very last thing you want to have happen is for you to be on your deathbed. And then you reflect back on your life and I go, man, I really should have done what I wanted to go do rather than having society tell me what I should go do. And I think that could maybe explain one of the reasons why like that mental health has been such an issue for a lot of people. It's because that when you don't go do what fulfills you, it actually can impact your mental health in a very negative way. And you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well should just go take a chance at doing what you love.
Well, I always say, Andrew believes in the he's a true salesman in his own self in his own right, and he's taught me a lot in going after your dreams and trying. Who cares if you fail? Just pick up and learn from it and move on. And he's taught me so much with that. And to believe in myself and to have a partner that believes in me. I know I'm very lucky because there's a lot of women, their spouses and their boyfriends, that they don't look at him and go, yeah, go honey, go chase that dream. And I feel lucky to have somebody that goes, yeah, Go see what you can do. Go see what you can blow up. Go see what guts you can create today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, ultimately, no one's going to believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Yeah, and I think in relationships for people, I believe that you need to support one another. And even if someone's telling you go after your dreams, you need to be supportive of their dreams as well. And I
Exactly.
think that that's important. And even as a film community, I feel that you can layer that right on out and bring that onion wide open and beautiful, because we need to be supportive of each other and to make sure that we're not shutting down somebody's dreams just because we don't understand them, or we don't it's not our genre.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, like a really good example, funny that you mentioned not their genre. I mean, there definitely are people out there who don't like horror films, and
Yeah.
I mean at the end of the day, you really truly can't please everybody. And I definitely do understand why a lot of people feel that way about horror films, even though that I don't, even though that that's not me. I mean, I love horror films, but I mean, at the end of the day, just because someone doesn't like it, it doesn't mean that there's no value to it. And yeah, and I mean, if it makes them happy, well, then that's all that. Well, and I mean, that's all that really matters. And just because that some people don't like it, it doesn't automatically mean that there is not a market for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like the Hallmark Channel, but I can't watch the Hallmark Channel. Like, it's hard for me to watch it because, to me, it's just like it's kind of really fake because I know it's not really going to happen. You're not going to go to the small town, find that handsome man, and you're going to live happily ever after. It's just like, everything has a place. Even the genre of the children's books, Snow White and Cinderella, they all have a lesson and they have a place, and they all are impactful in where they sit. So horror has a place to me that sits, and I always laugh at people that say, "Well, I can't watch it. I don't like to be scared." That's okay. It's not your thing. That's fine. But I have a big family that loves horror. My horror community understands what I'm trying to do,
Yeah,
understands what we're all about, and we respect one another for that. And I just I smile at folks that can't watch it because I think, wow, you're missing out on a lot of
oh, definitely.
really neat things. And I even had a colleague tell me, well, I don't understand how you could be promoting killing. And I'm thinking, well, I don't understand how we can't have a conversation of that, because in reality, it happens in everyday life, you
It
know?
does.
So why that, to me, that's a problem when we can't even talk about death. If you can't watch a movie about death, you know, I have an issue with that, because then you're when it's time or someone happens to leave you, you're not going to be able to deal with it well. And to me,
Exactly.
I feel that when you watch a death, even if it's not real, you watch these scenes, you can be able to deal with things. You can understand and process stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and and that's actually one of the things that horror films often actually are praised for. Like, it's the fact that it forces you, well, I like to confront mortality and and death, and yeah, like and yeah, like in all these topics that you can avoid it. You can run and hide all you want, but eventually it is going to catch up.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I think a lot of our horror genres, a lot of the movies have great themes. They talk about things that we can't talk about in action movies. You don't always see some of the struggles that we get to showcase in horror, because you see the psychological struggles in horror. You don't really see that in the rom com or
Yeah.
the in the action movies as much. It is showcased in horror, and that, at least that's what I feel it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, and especially in the Human Centipede, like in that movie, like oh gosh, like the characters really go through extreme trauma in that movie. It's like people can say what they want about the film creatively and even the concept, but I mean, yeah, it was a very, very, very creative idea for a horror movie, and that's why that I feel like it's still talked about to this very day. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Yeah, that movie. Oh gosh, that was quite a movie.
I might have to look that one up. I remember watching The Substance with Demi Moore recently, and I thought that that was well put together. And I loved it because to me, when you watch Society, everybody's on that chase of beauty and of the youthfulness. And to me, I felt that that piece showcased that and showcased how someone struggles to try to understand their body as things are changing and how society kind of leaves you and you're not valuable anymore. And to me, I don't agree with that concept. So I felt like they really addressed it well. The
Hmm.
gore was very interesting at the end, but I was just excited in my seat to watch as that the younger version comes out. I don't want to spoil it if no one's seen it, um,
Right.
but it was well done. And I got to see, I did notice, I don't know if you did, they did get theatrical back into the theaters again.
Oh,
They had
nice.
a, they were out once and then they got back in. So I thought that was really interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it goes back to what we said. Like, if you truly want to get, the like true experience of watching a movie, yeah, definitely go see it on the big screen because ultimately people vote with their wallet. And I mean, if you want theaters will like to continue to be up and to continue, showing these movies, go see movies at the theater because when I last went to Target a while ago, they were telling so I was asking them, where are your DVDs and in your physical copies? They're like, yeah, I mean, people just aren't buying them anymore, and so yeah, and so that's why we just don't carry them anymore. And I know that there was the big debate about streaming or physical copies. I mean, I don't mind either one, but what I do like about a physical copy is that knowing that once you have it, you and then have it for as long as you have it. And so, it just kind of sucks like on a lot of streaming services how that they'll have said movie or said TV show for a little while and then they'll take it off and then you'll get really in the mood to watch that movie or TV show.
And you can't get it.
Exactly. So that's
I always
one.
tell people, go to
Yeah.
the movies. Go watch the movie in the movie theater. Support your movie theater. It doesn't mean you got to buy the concessions. Just go
Yeah.
see the movie. Support your movie makers. I understand the need for live stream, but it does make a lot of complications because half the time I can't find the movies that I really want to watch because I don't always want to watch the newest ones. Sometimes I want to go back and watch something that I want to watch. Psycho. I want to watch an Alfred Hitchcock movie. I want
Yeah.
to watch
Yeah.
different things. You can't find those easily. And Netflix is just, they're wonderful service. I do watch stuff on Netflix, but
Mhm.
you can't find what you're looking for all the time. And then sometimes you get hooked on something and you want to go back and watch a series that you absolutely loved and it's not there. And
Yeah.
it's aggravating as a enthusiast of films, you know. And then I had heard the chatter that Sony wasn't going to be making the Blu-rays anymore, but then I heard from somebody else that, oh no, they're going to continue making those. And because I like watching things on Blu-ray, I like being able to pop something in that I hadn't seen in a while, and a lot of our indie horror filmmakers, their releases are on Blu-ray.
Yeah, exactly. Like from my understanding, originally when the first Terrifier came out, well, like it didn't have a theatrical release. It was released on Netflix and streaming. And then I believe that one of the things that helped the film, catch word of mouth, like, is because that some bigger names saw the movie, and then they praised it. And yeah, and then, fast forward to Terrifier 2, it made a lot of money. And then fast forward to Terrifier 3, which actually beat Joker 2 at the box office. And Joker 2 had an enormous budget of approximately $200 million. And it had really big names attached to it, like Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga. And while Terrifier 3 had a budget of $2 million, and it beat it.
Yeah, yeah. You make a good point with that. I don't like to put down movies, but I was very disappointed
Oh,
in
yeah.
Joker 2. Um, I love the actress and the actor. I love Lady Gaga. I think she is wonderful. I think she brings a lot to the table when it comes to her role. And
Mhm.
I feel like Joker was, I felt like Joker 2, the Joker was well done. It's just that our society can't really accept that concept of that because they don't want to talk about mental health so easily. And that was really a lot about the mental struggles of Joker while he was behind bars and where, all of that piece. And I think people were disappointed because they were expecting something else.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I haven't seen Joker 2, but from what I heard, they made it into a musical. And I feel like that the
Yeah,
general audience just wasn't anticipating that to be a musical when the first movie wasn't. So it more than likely threw people off guard. And I'm not trying to I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm trying to bash Joker 2 because I, of course, do understand that they put a lot of time, effort, and actual money into it. But
it
it's
was
just that.
beautiful. The if you look at the sets and the outfits and the
Mhm.
the music was good. It's just it's I don't know. It wasn't what I enjoyed from the Joker that I envisioned. But I still think that they did a good piece.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, at least that they gave it their all, and I mean, it sucks the movie bombed, but hey, and I mean, just a part of the film business is that you're not always gonna make that mark, and and if you fail, the best thing is that you can do is to learn from it and to learn to adapt. But yeah, and I mean, just knowing that Terrifier 3 was able to beat Joker 2, I mean that definitely is something to be extremely proud of, and that now Terrifier 3 is now the highest grossing unrated film of all time, where a budget of only $2 million, it made around $80 million worldwide. That
But
that
let's
is
let's
huge.
let's let's back up and look at that for a second, okay? You
Okay.
know, let's look at that for a second because that goes back to what I'm trying to do with Phil Herman's A Soldier's Descent.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing out here right now that um, that anyone's made that signifies Terrifier 3. Terrifier 3 had a child kill scene in it. It wasn't,
Yeah.
and I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but I want to
Yeah.
point it out, and a lot of the big, big brothers of MGM and even Netflix, I was they're not going to put their money behind something like that because people cringe and they're like, oh, I don't want to show a child being killed. I don't want that out. I don't want to put myself behind it. Whereas Terrifier 3 was able to do that. And so it has its place in our horror genre because it's something completely different. Whereas when the Soldier's Descent comes out, it will have its place because it's completely different than what the mainstream has out.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And I mean, it goes back to what I said. I mean, sometimes it just takes that one person like who wants to do something different, like in order for them to change, and in order for them to change like just how the film industry works.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm excited that the indie films has a chance and an opportunity to have more of our films coming into theaters. I'm
Yep.
excited. I make sure when I see that it's somebody coming in from our indie family, I'm going to see it. I'm going to support them, and because it we didn't see that before COVID happened, before a lot of different aspects happened that allowed us to have that opportunity. Terrifier actually are they're the ones that gave us the opportunity to finally be looked at, and they're going, oh, let's put them in the theater, let's see what they can do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And from my understanding, I don't know just how accurate this is, but from what I've heard from a lot of people, like like who are in the movie, business, a lot of them like have told me this. A lot of them have told me, as much as it sucks back in 2023, like when the actor strike happened, the writer strike happened, so therefore a lot of people were out of work. as much as that sucked,
It
for
sucked.
yeah, and especially for me, it was because I was just about to become a member of SAG, and then all of that stuff happened. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? I was just about to become a member of SAG, and then that forced me to put that on hold. I'm like, well, as much as it sucks, I do get it why it's happening because yeah, all the reasons why they went on strike were very justifiable.
Oh yeah, totally justifiable. I would
Oh,
never
oh,
say it wasn't.
oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely, yeah. But from what I've heard, it's actually because of all that stuff that happened, like with the actors and writers strike, was that uh was that it actually opened up a lot of doors for indie films.
Yeah, because because that happened, the film industry on that side was shut down. They were locked down, whereas the indie world wasn't locked down. And I know
Mhm.
that there's a little bit of opposition in the non-union and the union aspect, and I don't really want to
Yeah.
get into it, because I respect everybody's work and I respect folks that are on SAG sets. I think that's great, and I support everyone. I think everybody has a place. And I
Yeah.
think that as filmmakers and as actors and actresses, we need to be respectful of one another. And
Hmm.
let's not take that bad aspect. Let's not showcase that. I don't feel that that's necessary. I feel that we need to be supportive of one another.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Certainly so. It's because nobody like no filmmaker like is ever going to want to invest all their time, money, and resources and all that hard work only to have it be a project like that's going to be all for nothing. Like like for a lot of them, like it's their genuine passion, and like basically, if it means something to them, if you really care about them, well, and then there's that saying that actions speak louder than words do. I mean, don't just say you're going to support them, actually show that support.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have to realize you can show that support by just going into the theaters and watching a
Yes,
movie,
exactly.
and having a conversation with people. Hey, yeah, I watched that movie. I liked it for this. Not everybody's going to like a movie. Not everybody's going to like a genre, but let's be supportive of one another. I still watch rom-coms. I get a kick out of it. I loved Heart Eyes. I know that everybody laughs at me because I look at Heart Eyes and I thought it was more of a rom-com to me, a little bit of a horror twist. That's what I thought, but I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was different, and that's it. To me, I feel that we all have room at this table. We all have room, and we're all valuable. And
Mhm.
I just want each other. I want us to support each other.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly. And I mean, sometimes even for you to show your support, like say, if they launch an Indiegogo for a movie, now if you can financially support to donate to it, great. But if not, you can still show your support by just at least sharing it on your Facebook.
Oh yeah, share it, please, and not just on Facebook. Share it on Instagram. Share it on
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
format you need to share it on. Talk about it. Because not everybody can financially support, and I know that. I get it. We're all at different levels of life, and
yeah.
whatever that has to say. But the reality is your support is it can be done by just taking that platform and sharing it, moving it into your platform and talking about it. And I have to say, we didn't even touch about the cons, the horror
Yeah,
cons, the mega
yeah.
cons. I mean, you can support the indie filmmaking folks and everybody. We're all there. We all go to the cons. Some of us are there. I'm not there yet. I'm not done enough to get there yet. I've got work to do. Whereas Leonora's at cons, she does a lot of the cons for her work that she did on Scream, and I support her completely with that. I met Martin Cove. I love Cobra Kai. I met Martin Cove
Yeah.
at a couple of the cons and got to talk to him. And I'm hoping to go to one of the cons that has Freddy Krueger at it. That's one of my childhood things. I always wanted to meet him, so I'm hoping that I get to do that. Um, but that's another way of supporting. I love to. My husband laughs. I got to meet Joe Berthel from Punisher, and
Oh, that's
I
pretty awesome.
it was awesome. But I'm a painter too as well, so I did a T-shirt. I did the Punisher T-shirt for Andrew, and I made him wear it. And
Speaking of that Punisher shirt, I believe when you went live on Facebook, uh, he actually was wearing a Punisher shirt. So, and
that's the one I created.
okay, so it was that shirt then. Okay.
I hand painted that shirt, and then I hand painted a corset that I wore that I had the Punisher emblem on my corset. And we went and got to meet John Berthel, and it was just I wanted to be a part of the cosplay of the con because it's just fun. You get to dress up into a character that you like, or adapt a little bit into something that you like, and that's just another way of supporting indie film, I think.
Yeah, and then during that live video, I had then commented saying, and it's funny because I only thought of it just because he was wearing the shirt. I'm like, if he dyed his hair black, Andrew as the Punisher, that would be awesome.
Oh, I know, I know. I keep telling him that. I said, "Wow, if you ever had the opportunity to do that, I would like to see what that looks like."
Yeah, yeah, go for it. Or or maybe because of copyright reasons, maybe at least play a character that's close enough. And I mean, heck, and I mean, like because of the Winnie the Pooh horror movie, and I mean, including myself, a lot of people, also me, have really been taking advantage like of public domain properties. So I'm sure that there has to be some character in the public domain that I'm sure is close enough to the Punisher. So if he wanted to do that,
You never know.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, you'll sometimes be surprised about what is in the public domain and what's not. Like, technically, King Kong is in the public domain, but it's only a technicality. So it's not any of the movies that is public domain, but it was a novel tie in to the original movie that's in the public domain. And
Yeah.
so, but but the thing is, in that book, King Kong doesn't fall off the Empire State Building. Instead, he jumps off. So,
Mhm.
there's those subtle things you gotta, really watch out for. But hey, I mean, in a few years, I believe Batman actually does go public domain, but it's just that there will be some catches though. In his first appearance, he didn't have the Batmobile. There also was no Alfred. There also was no Robin.
Yep.
So yeah, there's quite a few things that that would be a catch about. But yeah, and I mean, now that I say that out loud, Andrew as Batman, I can see it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know as Batman, but it would be interesting to see if he'd take that on.
Okay, well, I also just thought about this. Superman actually goes public domain in a few years, but the catch is Superman didn't fly in the original comics. Instead, like he would just jump really high. So I
Yeah,
mean,
we do love our Superman around here.
so yeah, and so with that said, Andrew, I feel like that if he dyed his hair black, I think that he could do it.
I think what's interesting is he could probably do a lot of different characters.
Oh
We
yeah,
could see him, and
definitely.
I'm really excited. I hope he gets this opportunity to do a lot of different characters, as well as uh, some of our cast. I'd like to see Leonora do a lot of different characters as well. I feel that her character that we've casted her for, Judy, is a very strong character, and I can't wait to see her bring Judy to life.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, when I had Andrew on, he was telling me, yeah, I mean, I've noticed that I often play like the bodyguard or like characters who are really built. It's because I'm built, and so yeah, and I mean, I mean that happens a lot of times. Like with acting, I actually got rejected for some roles simply because of my ponytail. But what's also ironic is that because of my long hair, I actually got some roles. So
Yeah, that's the fun about casting. The one thing that Andrew always likes to say is, "I'm the reason that he got big," and yeah, he is. I am the reason he got big. I didn't want a tiny husband. I wanted the Rock. I like the Rock. I like that physique, and that's what I enjoy. But and he looks good at his size. It is funny though when you see him on a video and then you see, or in the movie, and then you see him in real life. In real life, he's a lot bigger than in the movie. You know, it's just, you're like, whoa, man.
And that's really interesting because usually it is in the movie. Well, like, well, they'll try to make him look bigger. I mean, a good example, like, it is with like Tom Cruise. From what I heard, Tom Cruise is really short in person, but they just make him look bigger in the movies. And it's just ironic, like, to hear that about your husband, is that
Yeah.
knowing that he's actually bigger in real life than than he is in his movies.
Yeah, and people have seen him on video chats, and then they get him. For example, he did Blood on the Bleachers with Chase Dudley, and when Chase, I wasn't there, I got to hear from Andrew, but when Chase actually got to meet him as he was getting makeup on, Chase was shocked about the size of Andrew, and Andrew's like, I kept telling him how big I was. I kept telling him, you know, and his chest is, he's got a nice muscular chest, and he's got a great build to him. And I think that for movies, it limits him a little bit, but not by much. There's a need for Andrews, I feel, you know.
Oh,
And I know everybody's like, oh, that's his wife talking. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but I am a little, you know, biased here.
which is fair. And I mean, knowing that he is your husband after all.
Yeah, and you know, I do know that when folks come up to talk to him, and they're really specifically to talk to him, I just step back. I let him have his moment because I just love watching it. I love watching people talk about, you know, hey, I got to see an interview of you on this, or, and a lot of his movies are getting ready to hit. You know, he's done, like I mentioned, Blood on the Bleachers. We've done Alien Horde. We actually did that one together. I had a very small scene, Bartenderama, a very interesting scene that I'll be very memorable by because of the scene, but it was very tiny. I got a chance to just be a part of something that he was a part of, and I appreciate that. And he was Commander Gigatron, and let me tell you, he knows how to be a commander.
Oh,
And
I can
watching him, yeah, just watching him on set and being allowed to be there was just, it was a wonderful gift, and I appreciate them all for allowing me to be on set and being able to watch everyone as they were doing their characters, and being able to be in a scene with everyone. That was just amazing, and I enjoyed it. And I do those little bitty scenes just so that I can understand what the actors go through, so that as I'm creating my movies and I get the opportunities to direct, you know, I understand where they're at so that I can help each other, you know, and create magic.
Right, yeah. Certainly so. And I mean, there are so many stories about there, like where actors in movies go through a lot just to do their role. Like, I believe it was Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. I believe it was The Revenant, like where when his character got cut on screen, he actually got cut for real. And so all that blood that you see, I believe it was from his hand, knowing that that was like that was not done with special effects. That was his real blood. And of course, you can't get more than real.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people don't realize it's not just about learning your lines. You have to be able to do your lines. So yeah, the
Yeah.
line memorization's there, but and I've been able to understand that more. You know, not just reading the round table of reading. It's more than that. It's being able to
Yeah.
do the task as you're doing your line, being able to have that ability. Not everybody's brain thinks that way.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and then to be able to really bring your character to life, to really understand the character development, you know, and you see that as you watch, you know, different actors and actresses bring forth the characters.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's more than just saying the lines, it's actually becoming the character. And I mean, of course, you also want to be careful not to get too much into character because from my understanding, that's one of the reasons why why the Heath Ledger is no longer with us, because he got so ingrained into being the Joker that like that he was taking painkillers and then he got addicted to it, just to cope with playing the Joker. So I mean, of course, you should get into character when you're playing the character. because of course, if you're not going to get into character, well, then what's the point to even playing the character? But it's all about finding that happy balance.
Yeah, it really is, and I feel the loss of Heath Ledger was it's sad because I thought that the Joker character he did was amazing. He really brought it, but it's just a sad hole that that happened. And I think that that's where the psychological aspect of my movie kind of runs into that aspect, because the reality is there wasn't a lot to help mental aspect. And what did we do? We gave it drugs. And I'm not saying the drugs are bad. I'm just saying we got to be careful.
Right. Yeah. Of course. It just matters who is the person taking the drug, what is the drug, and how much. It's all things to consider. And also, what may work for one person may not work for someone else, and vice versa. And that's okay. And and I actually just now realized this. Funny how we mentioned Joker 2 a while ago. Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger both won an Oscar playing the exact same character. That
exactly.
is crazy.
And totally two different aspects of the character. Now that's amazing. To be able to take a film and a character and look at how many different Jokers we've had, and look at how the different actors have been able to give it a twist on it. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, exactly. And obviously we won't ever know, but I am curious, say that for argument's sake, let's say that circumstances were different, and let's say that Heath Ledger didn't unfortunately die. I would be curious as to what his thoughts would be, knowing that him and Joaquin both won an Oscar playing the Joker. I would be curious as to what his thoughts would have been.
Yeah, me too. I can't speak for that because I don't, I have no connection to Heath Ledger or to what he would think, but it would be interesting to have a conversation.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, I guess the closest we can get is to ask what is his family's thoughts on it. I guess that's as close as we will ever get.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, anyways, I do want to be courteous of your time, and and I certainly really greatly do appreciate you coming on. And I mean honestly, I definitely really did have a lot of fun, chatting with you, and to promote your movie. So besides, besides the movie that you already mentioned, that you currently are in the works on, are there any other projects of yours that you would want the audience to be aware of?
Not right yet. Alien Horde is coming out soon. We were on a very short film that Marisol did, Room 4. And you can catch that on, I believe, on the YouTube channel for that, because it's a short. It's really good. Jacker 3 is coming out. Please catch that. I would love for you guys to see that. And, other than future projects, they're on wraps, because I'm just currently putting all my love into Phil Herman's The Soldier's Descent, and putting all my attention and efforts into that. And then once I get that in the can, then I'll start talking about what's next, because then I'll have some more freedom to look at my other two projects that I do have. But I just can't give them voice at this time. I want everyone to support us with this current one, The Soldier's Descent.
Right, yeah. Which is fair. And and I definitely will be sure to have a link like for Instagram, for people to follow you. And and if you have a website, like a website in general, like for your movies, I definitely can have a link.
We have an IMDb link for the movie, Soldier's Descent, and it has the information there about what the movie's about, and it also lists our cast, so we'll be putting our cast there as well. And then our Facebook page, Phil Herman's The Soldier's Descent, is our public group, and you'll see a lot of information, and our Indiegogo campaign will be there. And I just ask everybody to please support us in any way that you can. Share us if you want to get and be involved, and donate to the the campaign, that would be great. There
Yeah.
will be a lot of interesting features, a lot of ability to have some IMDb credit aspect as well through the campaign.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, you just gotta take it one step at a time.
Yeah, completely.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. And yeah, we definitely will be sure to keep in touch.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. You have a fantastic day.
You too.